Welcome, everyone. It's great to see so many of you here on the call and attending this session. Thank you for being here, and thank you to our distinguished panel of guests. You know, one of the exciting aspects of a multidisciplinary program like international business is that there are so many potential career pathways. So we organized this panel to open up your eyes and your mind to many of, at least a couple of those potential career pathways, and also to provide you an opportunity to meet, at least virtually, some outstanding USD alumni and industry contacts that we have at USD that represent some of these career pathways. So we encourage you all to reach out to them as well. And with that, we are going to go ahead and get started. And our first question for our distinguished panel is just a brief introduction. So I'm going to start off with Ana Casillas from Sony. And the question is to just ask you to briefly introduce yourselves, to discuss what kinds of activities you're engaged in at your company and how you got involved in your particular career pathway. Welcome, Ana.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. Thank you for your time today. I was born and raised in Tijuana. I studied a bachelor's degree in customs and international trade, which is similar to Business International at the Iberoamericana University, the Ibero. There are a lot of different Iberos in the whole Mexico, but I work at Sony Electronics. I've been working in the US since 2008, so that's 13 years. And before that, I worked in the factory, in the TV, television, and other types of products that they manufactured for Sony. I worked for 5 years there, so it has been over 18 years that I've been working for Sony. I guess I like it very much. I like it very much. My title is International Compliance Manager, and we are a very small group of people under trade strategy and compliance. That's the name of the group within Sony, and that group is under the legal department. So I don't do the actual importations, but I do provide advice. Are you hearing me okay?
It's breaking up a little bit, Ana, but we're getting the most of it. Yes.
Did you lose me?
Yeah. Why don't you repeat, Ana, the last thing you said? I think we lost the last.
Oh,
Ana, maybe we'll come back to you in a little bit, Ana. I think you're breaking up. Okay, Ana's having some technical difficulties. Rochelle, Ana Casillas is representing the legal kind of trade compliance area. And also with us today is Rochelle Snook from WD-40. Rochelle, could you introduce yourself briefly?
Thank you, Professor Daspro. Hi, everyone. It's great to be here. My role at WD-40 Company is the Global Director of Talent. So in essence, I'm a human resource business partner to we have 15 offices around the world. We sell into 167 countries. In my area of responsibility, I've got recruiting, which we call talent acquisition. We also have learning and development, organizational design. So we figure out where we need people and in what configuration. And then more recently, I'm now chairing the subcommittee for our diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts globally, which are a small part of ESG, environmental, social, and governance issues, which, as you can imagine, for a global company with lots of different people and manufacturing around the world and essentially a petroleum-based product, there's a lot of great opportunity for us in that space. I started in accounting with my first bachelor's degree, thinking I went to work for Ernst & Young, thinking, I wanted to travel. I always knew I didn't want to stay necessarily in Australia. Quickly realized accounting wasn't for me, but then I went into human resources in Australia and worked for a company there that had a global footprint. Then I moved to the US and Italy, where I completed my second bachelor's in business. And then most recently, my master's at USD in executive leadership. So that's about it. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Rochelle. And then representing the area of logistics is Alan Vihil from Grupo Logistics. Alan?
Thank you, Eileen. Hello, everybody. I'm Alan Vihil with Grupo Logistics. I'm the Director of International Business Development. We're a Mexican company and a U.S. company. Our headquarters are based in Mexico City. I'm in charge of all the United States. Basically, what I do is I design the supply chain for companies that want to do commerce with Mexico from any country. That's exporting into Mexico, as well as is from Mexico to the United States. I designed the supply chain, and like Anna, a lot of it is international commerce as legal as import regulations, as well as packaging, warehousing, transportation, market research. My background is marketing. I graduated with a marketing degree, and I started my international career with Costco in the buying department. And then I went through divisions on expansion into other countries. That's how I learned how to open retail operations in various countries in the world. And then with Grupo Logistics, basically that's what we focus on the retail industry and the suppliers of retailers to do commerce in Mexico. So I'm a buyer first, I'm a merchant first. So excel at market research and product development and those niches on to sell products into other countries. And then on the logistics side, on the supply chain side, design those processes to do the commerce between other countries.
Thank you, Alan. And representing the area and the pathway of international finance, Eduardo Marek.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here. I think it's amazing what the school is doing in terms of getting alumni out to share these real life experiences. I think back of my graduate days, and this type of advice, these type of panels actually, from what I remember when they were done, when they were conducted, very, very beneficial. In terms of me and my background, I trace sort of my background, not just to school, I would say to, selling comic books, trading as a child, teaching computer classes to elderly people in the neighborhood, lemonade stands, car washes. It has been sort of a mentality of there's a way to get a deal, there's a way to find a market, a buyer, an opportunity, and that has translated into every single job I've ever had. In terms of my background, it's a finance background, undergraduate. Well, actually, let me rephrase that. Also proudly from Mexico City. I'm Mexican. My family moved to the United States many years ago, so I've grown up sort of between both countries, which I'm very fortunate to be able to say. Bicultural, bilingual, and along with that mentality, undergraduate degree from USC in business administration, corporate finance. Graduate degree, my MBA, which I started in the evening program at USD due to the flexible nature of the program at the time. I actually started that MBA in secret. My employer did not really allow me to attend a school, and I decided to just leave the office a little early and go sit in class and drive back to the office to finish work. So graduate degree there was very interesting, and my dream was always to go to New York. So I found a way to complete a portion of my MBA studies at NYU in New York as well. In terms of what I do sort of on a daily basis, I work at Morgan Stanley in the area of wealth management. So our business line, our company is divided into two main segments, which are investment banking, all of the institutional business, governments, large corporations, And then on the other side of the business where I work, it's the division for business owners and families. And we work with clients in the United States and clients that are internationally based. So we're able to assist them primarily in the area of managing their investments, creating financial plans, helping them grow their businesses, finance new businesses, in addition to the classic stocks, bonds, and things that you guys may think of in terms of an investment account.
Thank you, Eduardo. And finally, Ari Sakal from JLab Audio. Welcome, Ari. Great to have you here.
Thank you very much. And thank you all for joining today. I was surprised when I heard that there were so many of you interested in hearing what we had to say. So glad to see that response. Just like Eduardo and some of the other colleagues here, I also come from Mexico. I grew up in Mexico City, studied my undergrad in marketing over there, and my first MBA with Monterey Tech. And then I did a dual degree with USD. And that's somewhat of how I ended up here in San Diego. That being said, how did I end up working on the international sales side of business? I've always loved to travel. I love to learn about other cultures, how people go about their lives, whether it is how they interact with people, how they socialize, and how to do business, how they do business, how people buy products and consume products. So that's always been attractive to me, and the reason why I did several exchanges as a student. I was able to live in China and in Europe and in Israel and here in the US. So all of that exposure allowed me to be able to be open and learn what's outside of my bubble, if you will. My first job down in Mexico was with a Brazilian consulting firm. So that helped me continue to explore and expand on the international business side. And currently here at JLab, I'm responsible for all international sales. We're already the fastest audio brand in the world. We're already in 56 countries. When I started with the company a couple of years ago, we were only in 3. So pretty aggressive expansion, and looking for working day to day with my international sales team, with distributors, with retailers from all across the globe, and being able to understand how each country works, the differences and nuances between each market, because it's never black and white. That was something that I learned while working with a Brazilian consulting firm. It's all shades of gray. It's never just a black and white, as in we do things this way in the US and they do things that way in Canada. No, it's all different nuances. So you can fine tune your learning to those. It'll go a long way.
Great. Thank you, Ari. So the next question for the panel is about what are some of the most challenging and also some of the most rewarding aspects of a career in your respective pathway. And we're going to start off with Rochelle. So in the international management, human resources pathway, the most rewarding and challenging aspects.
The most rewarding is also the most challenging, and that's all about the people. Because one of my purposes as an HR partner and a talent acquisition leader is to help others achieve their purpose, right? And whether we're hiring for them, we're putting them in the role that best suits their skill set, we're moving them, we're creating teams, that for me is what gets me out of bed every day. And it's also the most challenging because people are perfectly flawed, thankfully, and perfectly unique and individual, and everybody comes with their own motivations and their own drivers. So understanding where the people are, meeting them where they are, and then organizing them, introducing them, and acting as a multiplier, right, as a connector to find this thing that I call the third way, because we typically have conflict that's around territoriality, right? You've got a vested interest, I've got a vested interest, I've got a budget, I've got an office, I've got a customer, typically that's where the conflict is. And one of the beautiful things is not just an HR partner, but as a leader and for you all coming in to the career field is to find a way to bring people together and solve problems and find that third way to move the business forward and so that everyone can be successful in their goals.
Thank you, Michelle. Eduardo, same question in the international finance pathway, most rewarding, most challenging.
Be happy to provide an answer there. And I just want to congratulate Rochelle on her comment because I think she nailed it right on the head. At the end of the day, it is all about people. For me, it became very apparent after having worked in different roles in different industries that at the end, what I wanted to do was to connect with people, to not feel like a lemming or a robot, to not just be programmed to go to work, go home, sleep, rinse, wash, repeat. That for me would not be productive or fruitful over time. What I was looking for was something that was more sustainable in the sense of a deeper impact and a deeper feeling of purpose. So for me, being able to connect with my clients in the areas in services that we offer, no matter what the service may be, if they're looking at an individual stock or a mutual fund or a retirement plan, they're trying to finance their child's education, they're looking to retire early. And I'm just thinking of calls I had earlier today. Every client has a different soap opera. There's a different real life story going on. What is important for me is being able to connect in an empathetic way, to listen, and to find ways to add value to make people feel better. And if that means that they want to be able to take a vacation and not worry about what I do on a day-to-day basis, then that's my purpose. If it means they want to be calling in every day, asking a million questions that are technical in nature about their investments, that's fine. We're prepared to do that as well. But it's my role to sort of adapt to their needs and to become their trusted, it sounds cheesy in a way, trusted advisor, but I have relationships with clients that have become far deeper than just client advisor in nature. We become more than family at times. They confide in us personal things between husband and wife, parent, child, grandson that is not going to be included in a will. You name it, we've heard it. So for me, being able to gain that level of trust, and it takes a lot of work, and it can be very easily lost and very slowly gained. For me, that ends up being the most fulfilling.
Thank you, Eduardo. Ari?
Sure. I think one of the most challenging aspects of the day-to-day is understanding and being able to put myself in other people's shoes, and even more when you look at it on a global level, because what I understand or the way I understand something might not be translated or interpreted in the same way across cultures and across languages, because many instances I need to interact with people who might not even speak English. So in order to be able to get my message across on my side, and on the opposite here on their side, what is that they're looking for? Because at the end of the day, I'm just looking for the win-win, right? If a customer or a distributor or even someone in my team feels they got the lesser of the two parts of the deal, and they feel dissatisfied or they feel that they lost, they might not want to come back and work with us. So pushing for that win-win where everyone is satisfied across cultures and languages, I think is one of the most challenging parts. And at the other side of the spectrum, I would say is just as rewarding when it does work, right? When we are able to, let's say, get our brand across and make it relevant in Korea in the same way it's relevant in the UK. That's, I think, what I would see as success and fruits of labor.
Thank you, Ari. Alan, in the field of logistics and supply chain, the most challenging as well as rewarding.
The most challenging is we work on project management. We work on a lot of projects on market entrance. And a lot of that, it has to be with communication. Communication versus vertical silos to communicate horizontally with all divisions of your client's company as well as my company. As Ari said, one of the biggest challenges is the business culture, the business culture differences in the language, and managing the time zones also. That's something that is you have to study. You have to study the different business cultures. You have to respect them, and you have to work that into your strategy, how to manage those clients. It's an ongoing target to better that relationship. But as Ari said, it's a win-win, and we want long-term relationships with our clients, and we have long-term relationships with our clients. And so it's been real effective as far as teamwork wise, always promoting teamwork wise, and studying your clients and being your client, being the eyes and ears of your client. The most rewarding for me is seeing something you design on a whiteboard and then see it come into reality. Whether is opening the first Costco in Mexico, opening the first AutoZone in Mexico, Build-A-Bear store, Party City store, and now for the past year and a half or 2 years, I've had the privilege to work on opening the first IKEA store in Mexico City. So from the planning aspect, from not only the legal, not only the construction, the building and importing all the goods, but actually opening the retail stores is amazing. And you do that, you take that model and you open in one country, and then you take that model and open in another country. And it all started by a whiteboard. It all started by communications. It all started by knowing the different cultures, different laws. It's all tied in. Supply chain is tied in to everything. It's not just trucks moving from interstate to interstate. It's the whole planning process and manage it. So that's what I see. And now with the e-commerce business booming worldwide, now I'm working on e-commerce projects that you see products entering other global markets, and it doesn't, small, medium enterprises can manage e-commerce, not only just large entities. So it's exciting. It's exciting to see that. It's exciting to see products in other countries. It's exciting to establish supply chain with other countries. And so that's what I see as a passion and rewarding for me.
Thank you for that perspective, Alan. Anna, in the area of legal and trade compliance?
I hope you can hear me okay this time. In Sony, or in any company, as everyone has mentioned, the business model changes very frequently, and it's dependent on the product and where is it going. So I think a challenge for me is, from the point of compliance or legal, is that since we depend on those decisions from the business groups to take, and it's important to be engaged, and be in contact constantly with them so we can advise correctly their decisions. Maybe you shouldn't send the television from China, you should send it from Japan, and then we can be sure we don't pay any duties, for example. So strategic planning for the whole logistics from the beginning of the product is made to the market that it's sent to. In one of my activities that I do also is classification. The HTS classification is a specific code made that is used internationally, so we can control, and the governments can control the duties that they pay, and also for statistical purposes. So in order to determine this code, you need to know everything about the product. And sometimes the product is in like pre-production, or the marketing materials are not available, or they are secret. Like, for example, the PlayStation 5, like when we wanted to classify it, we were not able to classify it yet because everything was so secretive, So that's why it's good to trade compliance to be under legal, so they have more they have more trust in us, no, that not providing this information to anyone. So that's another challenge. Also, when I worked in the factory, everything is for yesterday. That's what we said, no? Like, you need to do this you need to import this for yesterday, and everything is urgent. So it's like a time pressure that if you're not good in doing things really quickly, then don't go there. Don't even go there. And rewarding aspect would be that the money that I save the company, I really like seeing the numbers that my group saves the company. We look good, we make our boss look good too. So that's one of the things. And one important thing is the friendships that we make at work. No, that's very rewarding for me. I feel like I'm in my second family. And my boss's boss is my children's grandfather, and and stuff like that. And and also being a mom of two, there's no better way to teach my children, right, to be hard workers and chase their aspirations than by giving them a good example. So that would be all.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you for those comments and sharing that. The next question for the panel is about the value of having a global perspective or international experience in your respective pathways. And we're going to start with Ari Sakal. In the international marketing sales area, the importance of an international global perspective, Ari.
Perfect. I think the one of the biggest aspects, I mean, there are some basics that you need to already know when you're going to an international position. I've had many instances where, someone asked me, so I know Thailand is in Asia, but where specifically, right? So basic things like that, you do need to know your basics, because you cannot show up with a Thai customer and be like, I really don't know where you're at on the planet. That being said, take advantage from your classmates and the people at college that you know of that are from other parts of the world. Learn about them, learn how they interact, how they do business, how they greet each other, because that does go a very long way when you're interacting and trying to connect with other people, because at the end of the day, they're also people and you want to make it personal. So learning those nuances on the cultural side, I think it's quite important.
Great, thank you, Ari. Rochelle, in HR?
I would suggest curiosity. I unfortunately don't have language skills other than the practice of English, which still trips me up between the UK and Australia and the US and Canada. But curiosity for two reasons. One, the people, right? Because whether I'm with my team in China, I want to understand their thoughts and their perspectives, everything from their involvement with the Communist Party to why chicken feet are a delicacy, to why the women prefer not to show their chest with a more open shirt on or dress. The curiosity, genuine curiosity, right? And then how you might be able to be a chameleon and honor and respect their traditions. And the same thing for India and many other countries. Then I would also add curiosity because understanding your business or whatever it is that you choose to get into, ask lots of questions. So if I'm with a supply chain team in Europe, I want to understand what's different for them and why, and the same for the US and same for Asia Pacific. Because I believe that, with humble curiosity and being able to kind of take jest and light of yourself. Like when I showed up to an Asia meeting with all of our Asian distributors and I made the incorrect choice of wearing a skirt, and all of the mainly Muslim gentlemen were looking at my legs and talking about me. I was of course embarrassed, but I appreciated their feedback and I made some adjustments there to make sure that they were comfortable, right? So seek curiosity, seek to understand, meet people where they are, and be vulnerable in that place. And just doing those things, you'll already be, steps and steps ahead potentially of your colleagues.
Great. Thank you, Rochelle. Eduardo, in international finance, the importance of a global perspective.
It's a fantastic question. For me, the key word or theme would be discomfort. I look back on experiences that I've been fortunate to have in many parts of the world, in different settings, professional, non-professional, being able getting way outside of my comfort zone for me proved to be key. When I was in school, I pushed to study abroad. When I was working, I pushed to go to school. When I worked in one country, I wanted to push to work in another. I wanted to immerse myself and truly go off the grid and do something that to me felt different and that I knew would be enriching. So I think back on meetings when I used to work for a consulting company in Asia, and I would sit in Thailand and do things a certain way that maybe a Japanese client would appreciate, but somebody in Thailand definitely would not. And it's the little things. It's the way you present a business card. It's the way you dress. It's the vocabulary that you use. It's how punctual you think you are when you're really not punctual. And little things like that over the years you pick up. But the key is to push yourself and place yourself outside an area of comfort and to be open. And if that means try to study abroad, I know right now there's a pandemic and study abroad programs at USD have been canceled. Don't let a pandemic, don't let a recession, which I had when I graduated from undergrad many years ago, hiring freeze in finance, nationally, all the big firms were not hiring. I did not let it stop me. My best advice to the students that are on this Zoom call, be relentless. Don't let anything get in your way. If I, in my office right now, were to receive somebody who pesters me to the point where I have no choice but to put them in touch with somebody at my company, a manager, somebody in HR, those are the people that stand out. That passion, that drive, you can apply that at a McDonald's, you can apply that at Morgan Stanley, you can apply that at Sony and all these other companies that my colleagues work at. That attitude is what's going to get you through the door, and it's what's going to get you a seat at the table to then present who you are. The world is more transparent, it's more connected, information flows a lot faster. So in order to truly differentiate yourself, you need to be open and willing to really put yourself outside of that comfort zone. That would be my best advice. Just be relentless and go intern, apply. Don't be afraid of applying 8,000 times and making 400 phone calls. The decision makers at the key industries and firms that I've worked at all appreciate drive and ambition. And that's something that you can't teach. That's something that is ingrained within you. So tap into that and don't let family, friends, school, bad advice, good advice get in the way of what you guys truly want to achieve. The sky is the limit. Again, doesn't matter if there's a pandemic, doesn't matter what economic conditions. If the company that you want to work at isn't hiring, who cares? Keep applying, keep applying, keep applying to the point where they're going to hire you because they can tell that you want to be there more than anyone else. And that would be the best advice I feel I can give.
Great. Such great insights and advice from the panelists. Thank you all. Anna, do you want to add to that? How a global perspective, international experience is valuable in the area of compliance?
Yes, of course. I mean, Eduardo really, I wrote it down in the chat. No, you get what you negotiate, right? For me, well, I always love traveling, culture, customs, languages, anything to do with everywhere in the world. But I think that having this global perspective, I understand like the whole picture. I'm more like aware of all of the processes that has to happen in order to fulfill the whole supply chain. No, sometimes I get in trouble because I want to provide the best advice and the more detail. So I ask a lot of questions. And when you ask, it's good that you ask a lot of questions because you want to understand. And when you understand, you're going to be able to provide the best advice, no, to to whoever your customer is in this case. So I guess that would be my 2 cents.
Thank you, Ana. Alan?
I'd like to segue, same with what Eduardo and Ana just said, is from our side on the logistics and supply chain management side, the global perspective and international experience is basically, it allows you to learn more than one country's business culture and see what opportunities they are. We as supply chain, we also do sourcing. So we look at possible opportunities for products, niche products, what aren't in other countries. So a lot of our clients hire us to do market research. And with that, we take models from other countries, how to do business in each country. And then you design that model for that country for market entrance. On the supply chain side also, our clients hire us to do research on where they should put their manufacturing plant or where they should put their distribution center. That's called optimal network. And so we do a lot of that studies for them, and you need to know those requirements and the solutions that would be better globally. And that ties into a lot of free trade agreements. That's one thing that you look at on a global aspect on like Anna manages the import duties. And so it's all tied in, but the more you can travel, the more you can meet people from other countries and learn about that country, it's just the more opportunities there are. I can't remember what the percentage is of US companies that export, but I know it's really low. It's only like 4%. So the market is global as a world. So it just opens opportunities for any company to enter the markets outside of the United States.
Thank you, Alan. And Ari, you wanted to follow up on that?
Yeah, I just wanted to compliment something that Alan mentioned, which is that even if you're not planning or are not going to travel abroad, the benefit of living and working here in the US is that it's a big melting pot. So you might not need to travel to China to deal with Chinese people. They're already here. So having all of these skills and knowledge about other cultures will only help you even here. You don't need to go outside to do that.
Thank you, Ari. I think this is going to be our last question. So I'm going to ask all of our panelists here to be brief so we can make sure we have some time for some Q&A. And my last question is about, just so it's clear to all of the attendees on the call, what are the differences in these different career pathways? If each panelist could just comment on, what are the hard skills and the soft skills that are necessary to be successful in your career pathway? Ari, you can go ahead and start us off in international marketing and sales.
Sure. My biggest recommendation for the hard skills is to understand, even if you're not the expert, but at least understand the different parts of the business that make it work. Because at the end of the day, I interact with finance, I interact with supply chain, I interact with purchasing, I interact with product development, I interact with everyone in our business. So if I don't understand or cannot explain what we need or understand what they're doing, it's going to make my job very difficult. So as a hard skill, I would say, even if you're not the expert, learn at least understand what the other parts of the business do, or the other departments. And then on the soft skills, I think I'll just rephrase kind of what we've all been saying, but it's be curious and keen to understand and learn about people. Because at the end of the day, whether it is people here or in any other country around the world, that's who you're going to be dealing with to do what you do every day. So be open that everyone thinks and learns and does things differently, not the same way that you're used to doing them, and be able to put yourself in the shoes to learn about them as people.
Thank you, Ari. Eduardo?
Sure. I mean, the hard skills and the soft skills. So the hard skills in my line of work are having the technical know-how, the knowledge about the actual, the world of finance. And it's the most complex. It can get as complex as one wishes to pursue it. What I think is important is to clarify, be humble. I've learned from managing directors, people at the highest levels of my firm, the heads of international wealth management. They themselves don't know the answers to everything. There is no expert in the world of finance, true expert who really knows absolutely everything. It's such a rich arena. There's always, every day for me that's one of the many things that I like most about my job. I learn on a daily basis. I've had jobs where I'm stuck in a position where, intellectually speaking, I felt like I was not learning or furthering or moving along a path of just absorbing more information that for me was productive. So definitely, in terms of the hard skills, you have to have the hard skills in order to then convey the soft skills. If you don't have the hard skills, you don't have that knowledge, you can BS all day long, but people are intelligent, and whether it's a client, a customer, a supplier, they're going to be able to very quickly tell that you don't really know. So my best advice would be humble, get your foot in the door. Don't be ashamed of something that pays less than what you want. Don't be ashamed of cleaning a bathroom, starting as an intern. I remember delivering tulips, lunch, watering plants, doing laundry. I mean, I was asked to do a litany of things, and I did it, and I didn't just walk while I did it, I ran, and people noticed. And that attitude, again, translates into everything else. So focus on the technical know-how and be able to then promote the soft skills. And just to close it, in my line of work, there are multiple tracks. You can be the person that likes sitting in a cubicle or an office number crunching. There's a track for that. You could be an analyst. You could work in the area of something related to that, or you could be on the business development side, the attracting assets, going to meetings, presenting. Focus on what you're good at, and don't be ashamed to recognize what you're not good at, and take it from there.
Thank you, Eduardo. Anna, how about in the area of compliance and legal?
Well, definitely you have to have a bachelor's degree. You have to start. It helps you start faster, of course. Learning how to communicate assertively. Oh my gosh, if I would have learned how to communicate assertively since I was like 19 when I started working, it would have helped me a lot. I think communication skills are very important, especially internationally, as Rochelle, I think, was the one that was talking about the different cultures and things we need to respect, no? In order to build trust, most of it, no? And I think for the hard skills, I think transferable skills are skills that you can use anywhere. Usually there is data analysis, so Excel spreadsheets, Access spreadsheets, all of that is very important. It gives you a sense of liberty that you can do your own analysis. You don't need anyone to help you, right? Then you can do your job better. And being aware of any current systems that help with the control and the compliance. So that would be in my area.
Thank you, Anna. Rochelle?
Yeah, I agree, Anna. On the soft skills side, I just want to underscore what everyone said, specifically Ari, learning agility, be comfortable learning, be life learners. Don't stop when you graduate, because the rate of change is so massive, right? Just our e-commerce team can barely keep up. Our sales team can barely keep up. We've got this learning saturation. Be life learners. And the other thing for soft skills is problem solving. If you can be that person in the team that is looking for ways to solve problems, you will be indispensable, right? Not the negative, oh, this is horrible, this is hopeless, okay, guys, how can we do this? Where are obstacles? How can we overcome them? Let's learn and adapt. And then finally, hard skills, data. Anna talked about this. We all have data. I'm not suggesting you be, a metadata geek. If you want to do that, great, but you also need to have the balance of the soft skills, be that problem solver, be that curious learner, be that connector, be that multiplier. We all look at data because data gives us the insight and either supports or confirms a belief that we have in order to make that recommendation and be assertive, like Anna was suggesting.
Great. Thank you, Rochelle. Alan, what are those critical skills for logistics and supply chain?
We manage a lot of projects, so versus individual tasks, so we're multitasking. We use a lot of Gantt charts because it's everything's connected on the project. Excel is a must. We use a lot of Excel. PowerPoint, a lot of PowerPoint presentations, and that you have to know how to write how to create a PowerPoint by country, because it's different the way you present to certain countries. And as far as communication is key, communication, be a team player and be a leader. That's what I'd say on the soft skill.
Great. Thank you, Alan. So we have about 10 minutes now for Q&A. So at this point, I would like to open things up to our students and encourage them all to ask a couple of questions of our distinguished panel of guests today. Any questions from the attendees?
And if you do have a question, that we recommend under the reactions section on Zoom, there's an option to raise your hand. That can help us see who asked questions first. And then Professor Daspro can take those.
Sure. Jake, you have a question. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I actually have a question for Alan. You mentioned recently, like just now, that you have to present differently to different cultures. I was just wondering how that looks like if you could provide an example.
Great question. For example, Germany does a lot of business with Mexico. So we have to present pretty just basically no fluff. Basically, it's just boom, 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 boom. What information that you want to present to them, and versus versus another country where you can have more of a like a history and a soft feel to that presentation versus, and then get into the data and get into the specifics. But we find with the German companies that we just have to present the facts, and that's it. Versus other market or other marketing slides that show more of the culture, more of the history, and all that. It's tend to be longer, so a more precise presentation. That'd be an example, I would say.
Thank you.
Great. Any other questions from the attendees? Please don't be shy. We're very fortunate to have them all here. Maria, thank you, Maria.
This was just like a general for all of the panelists. I was part of the dual degree program myself, but COVID did cancel that opportunity. But what would you guys think would be like the best internship or best starting up opportunity that you guys had?
I would follow your passion. Be picky. Pick what industry you want to learn and pick what one you excel. And then just go, like Edward say, don't be afraid, don't be shy. Go out and get it. There's a lot of organizations here in San Diego that are industry specific. Build it through your network on LinkedIn, and look to see what trade shows are out there, and look to see what's out there, and just focus on your passion.
Something that I really appreciated, I still hadn't graduated from college, but I started working at the consulting firm. And to me, the consulting firm was, let's say, my second school, because I was able to apply everything that I had learned in school in real day projects. And what was really awesome is that I was shifting cultures, projects, problems every 3-4 months. So one project I was learning about, I was with Nokia, and then I went to Red Bull, then to MasterCard, then to Monsanto, and then it just keeps on shifting, and it's kind of like applying everything that I was learning. So it was a really great experience and helped broaden my eyes into what other options are out there and how each industry works. So it was like schooling on speed.
Yeah, and
Thanks,
to build on that, Ari, the consulting or smaller organizations, right? Where you can do a little bit of everything versus potentially a larger organization, like for example, Sony, they've got such great job family tracks. Sometimes it's hard to move between one to the other, not that you can't, but it just depends what you're looking for. You go deep or you kind of go broad to start with.
Great insight.
Thank you so much.
Eddie, you had your hand up.
Yeah, my name's Eddie. I'm a senior here, junior, senior. But I was just wondering, like, because I'm from Korea, I'm an international student. So, like, you guys are from Mexico. I was just wondering, like, how tough was the process to get a job in the States as an international graduate student?
For me, it was very tough. But I think someone mentioned, like, ask questions, ask for whatever you negotiate, you're gonna get. You're gonna get whatever you negotiate. So I was like, I want to go to Sony San Diego. I want to go to Sony San Diego for years. So it just you just have to vision yourself and try to accomplish your goals. But for me, it was difficult, but Sony supported this, so they did all of the documents and the transaction for my permanent residence as well. So my visa and my permanent residence.
And I lead our international visa and repatriation programs from the HR perspective. And to echo Anna, it's tough. We had a hard time getting somebody from our Canadian team on a NAFTA TN1 visa to the San Diego. And we've got Chinese nationals here in our supply chain team that are going on 4 years and they still don't have residency. So it depends by country. Eddie might want to explore well, if you're not in the engineering fields, OPT visas, connect with the university through Diana's team. And internships sometimes are a little easier to get. And then when they fall in love with you, they'll bend over backwards and put the money out to help you with your visa application process, hopefully.
Thank you, Michelle. We have a great question in the chat from Alegria about, I know there are many students on this call that are thinking about working abroad. So she's wondering about advice about getting a position abroad. Any recommendations for those students that might be considering working abroad?
I would say on my side, the way I was able to do it was as an exchange student. I got an internship in between for the summer while I was abroad, and that helped me get that international work experience while I was already there studying. Now, the key, because I already had a student visa, so I could do that. Now, if you don't have let's say a legal permit to work in another country, that'll be the first item to sort out. And then you can start looking for internships or anything else.
Thank you,
Just to add to that, if I may, if an internship is not available, don't take it as a no. Take it as an opportunity. Volunteer. I remember for a period in my life when finding work was difficult, volunteering, literally working for free just to get my foot in the door, just to get people to see what I could do. At the end of the day, whether you're trying to get hired into the United States or into any other country, follow the money, right? It's going to cost the company something extra to hire you. And the talent pools, a lot of times companies hire cheaper candidates. Why? Because they are cheaper, right? So you need to stand out. And how can you do so? Study abroad, get out of your comfort zone, be relentless, volunteer. I remember going to as many job fairs as I could here in San Diego at every nook and cranny of the city, walking out feeling dejected and just not caring and continuing on and sending out my resume something, the cream rises, you will find something. And once you get your foot in the door, the sky's the limit. But if your goal is to be, if you're from Korea and your goal is to work in the United States, you need to convince the company that investing in your visa or your permit is worth their time. And how can you do so? Differentiate yourself and make yourself stand out.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I would say also research what country you want to travel to and see what companies are headquartered there. The advantage you're here in the United States. So a lot of those companies will say, well, we have this job now that we need in the United States. And then that opens the door for you to get to that country and work for that country. Eddie, I know in Otay Mesa, especially, there's a lot of manufacturers from Korea. So you could reach out to them also. They're already here. The advantage you have is language and the culture and the manufacturing's here. So it's here right in your back door. So there's a lot of Korean companies here that would probably jump on you to stay here. and like we do, our company, we bring our new entry-level managers to San Diego to train them, and we sponsor their work visas so they can train here in San Diego, and then we move them to other divisions or other countries, other offices that we have. So we sponsor them for their visa.
Good information. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Wonderful recommendations. And Anna's putting something in the chat as well. I would just like to take a moment to thank all of our distinguished guests in the panel, Ari Sakal, Eduardo Marek, Alan Vahim, Rochelle Snook, and Anna Casillas. Thank you all for being here and presenting your respective career paths. The students for joining us and exploring the many possible career pathways that international business offers. Thank you, CDEV, for putting this together and helping us organize this, and Dr. Diamond and all of our students as well for supporting this initiative. Great to see you all. Thank you, and we look forward to having further discussions on career pathways in international business. Have a great afternoon, everyone.